Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Tuesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's continue the Queensland theme in particular. And of course, we'll instead of going to the Gold Coast, we're going back up north to Brisbane. And of course, speak with the defending QAFLW champions. Of course, that is Yeronga Sth Brisbane. And last week we spoke to Mia and Jordan. And of course, this week we've been interviewing Jade. Of course, she was part of that QAFLW 2020 Premiership team. And she joins us right now to tell us a bit about the success that the team had in 2020. Thanks, Jade, for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, it's been a month and a half now since that grand final down at Robina.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about the season, and which was an amazing season in itself, because I think you started, I guess, as per normal for the first 4 games before the country went to lockdown, and then you just resumed the season a bit later.
Yeah.
But tell us a bit about this whirlwind 2020 season for the Devils.
So yeah, like you mentioned, we started as if it was any other normal season. So the girls got a pretty solid pre-season in. We've been building for the last couple of years, and so the girls worked hard over the pre-season. We were ready to roll come first round. And as you mentioned, we got, I think, 4 games in before the COVID pandemic stopped us from playing footy, and obviously that was devastating. We were all feeling pretty good, and then the, I guess, implications that quarantining or isolating has when you can't get out in the park and kick the footy with your mates. But I think our team in particular managed that really well. We've got quite a social group, over the social media, etc. So our chat's always on fire, and the girls are always communicating. So there was a lot of, I guess, shared inspiration and knowledge to keep the fitness up at home throughout the COVID period. And then, as you can imagine, we were all raring to go when we had the opportunity to get back on the field. I guess heavy implications to do with COVID in the initial phases, where we could only train in small groups, and the girls are really flexible and adapted to that as best they could. And then, once, I guess it was business as usual in Queensland. It was really hard to find your water bottle at some points in time because it was all labelled and individual, and there's all those intricacies that carried on throughout the season. But I think we just had a real attitude and culture of acceptance, and I think that's what helped us hit the ground running coming back. I know that our results week to week after the COVID period weren't flawless, but we never expected it to be. As with any, season, you need to peak at the right time, and we always had that in the back of our minds. And I think that's what we did. We executed it quite well, and come away comfortably in the grand final.
Now, coming out of the COVID, I think you were sitting around about 5th, coming back after the break, and I guess it didn't. It was a bit of a win-loss for the first couple of games throughout went in the restart, but you really got rolling throughout the middle part into the late stage of the season. I guess, was there a particular game that really turned it all around?
For me personally, I think it was our win against Maroochydore. I say that because it was really, we felt like the underdogs. We had to travel 2 hours up the coast. It was a long weekend. We weren't necessarily scrounging for players, but a lot of our players were unable to make it. So I think, that put immediate pressure on the girls that were playing. And then there was a big storm for our development squad, so they played before us. And the weather was just absolutely atrocious. So watching those girls go out there and brave the conditions and put up a really good football game kind of inspired us to then follow through after them, when I must admit the weather completely cleared. And so the development squad suffered, but it came good for the QAFL team, lucky us. And I think from there, feeling like the underdogs, being a couple of key players down, and then playing as well as we did that particular day, I think that was, we had the confidence there, but we hadn't yet proven it to ourselves. And I think that game was probably one where with, you know, we didn't have our key players to fall back on as such. And so that just gave all the other girls around the park the confidence in themselves to step up when they needed to. And I think that they continue to do that for the rest of the season with a couple of ironing out points. So that was a special game, I think.
Been a fantastic year, not just for your team, obviously win the premiership. Obviously, the development league team came very, very close of winning it themselves, fell short against Coorparoo. But of course, we all know, I think we all know by now, of course, that video viral that went, of course, with the development.
Yeah.
I think it was your team, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Jamie Howe.
Tell us, I guess, how did that all come about? And I guess, did you ever dreamt from that point on that it just became not just, you know, just viral around Queensland, but obviously not just Australia, but it went around the world like it did?
Yeah. Never in a million years did we expect that. It was all completely, I don't know if innocent's the right word, but it was completely born out of the fact that we wanted to, I guess, reach an arm out to our teammate Jamie, and it was all instigated by Mia Walsh, who you've spoken to recently. She's a beautiful soul, and I know that her and Jamie work together. Mia was the one that spotted Jamie's talent from afar, recruited her from work to come and try a training session. And then from there, you know, Jamie was a superstar and she was doing really well in and around the girls, and the girls were lovely. But I think that Mia and then Mel Rogers, another sensational player in our team, decided to, I guess, surprise Jamie. You know, everyone loves a feel-good moment, but it wasn't intended for anyone else but our club but for Jamie and the team. So to then have the, I guess, the viral sensation that was, you know, signing a team song for footy, which I now, you know, I've seen on the internet that there's people doing the songs for all of the AFL clubs at the moment. You know, and it's such an empowering and I guess the word accepting keeps coming into my head, but I think so essentially, like, it was never meant for anyone outside of our team. It was purely meant to, you know, give Jamie a warm and fuzzy and let her know that we valued her support and her as a teammate. And, you know, she's an absolute gun player as well. So that was our intent from the start. That was Mia's intent and Mel's intent. And from there, I know that we are just absolutely overwhelmed with the support it's gotten. And, you know, sharing the message of inclusivity is the word we were looking for.
That's it,
sharing inclusive, you know, because it just brightens up everybody's world. It extends across so many different levels, you know, of relationships and friendships, and now the sporting arena. And just like women playing AFL, it now is another cornerstone and another example for people to look to include, you know, either whether it be the deaf community or other disabilities. So, yeah, you know, mountains out of molehills, but absolutely in a positive way, and we couldn't be happier.
Now, I need to ask you, which I didn't ask me and Jordan, and I wish I did now. How long did you learn that Auslan signed for your theme song prior to that?
The girls would probably know better off by heart, but I know it was at least maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So there was a lot of Facebook Messenger chats that Jamie wasn't involved in, and we had Mel Rogers actually got a personal friend of hers to translate the song into Auslan. So I think this is devil normally, but we use this because it also can symbolize Yeronga. So Yeronga devils on the head,
Yes.
And stuff like that. So we got it kind of designed through Mel and Mia. And then from there, they filmed it, put it on the Facebook Messenger to the small little groups within the team, just to keep it, you know, on the down low. And I know that I probably had I had a rush session learning it the night before the game because I'd learned parts of it, but then I'd forgotten it. And then so I'm gonna say 3 weeks. it took the team to sort of consider it, make sure we got around to it, so that we kind of lined it up for a likely win as well. Otherwise, if we had lost, it would have, we would have been excited and not really executed the Auslan. But I reckon it was about 2 to 3 weeks that the girls were practicing.
Now, I have to ask, have you or the team have now mastered the theme song in Auslan?
I think I've mastered it, but then every time I get to a certain point and I forget one of the little bits. So I think as a team, we've got it down pat, absolutely, because when I sort of forget one motion, I look to someone else as we're singing and they start it, and that rejogs my memory. But I think I would say we are 90% solid for the entire team on the Auslan sign. And even then, majority of the girls know most of it. There's just a couple of differences in Auslan. So this one, bringing it down, is different to bringing it out from your throat. And so, so there's some subtleties in the way we're executing it that haven't quite been ironed out. But yeah, we've all got the general gist. And like I said, I reckon we're 90% there.
Now let's go back to the footy field for a moment. Now, of course, your final series, incredible final series. You beat, I would say, other than yourselves, the top 3 of the top 4 teams. Well, obviously, other than Maroochydore as well. But obviously, you beat last year's champions, Coorparoo, in the first week of the finals. You beat Bond Uni at their home venue, who were minor premiers, and obviously you beat Coolangatta, who finished second on the Gold Coast as well. I guess it was a particular game throughout those 3 that really stand out, because I felt the real turning point when I felt that you were going to get it was actually the first final against Coorparoo, when I guess you were challenged against them. They were coming back, but you really pulled them away in the third quarter at home. Was that the game that really showed that belief that you could go all the way?
I guess, no. So I don't think the Coorparoo game was for us. It's footy, so anything can happen. And I wasn't concerned about meeting Coorparoo in the grand final. And again, I'm speaking for myself. I knew the girls had the talent and the skills and, the collective drive to beat Coorparoo. I was concerned about Bond University. So for me, the game that really kind of, and again, you can't get too cocky because, you can bring yourself unstuck. But when I came off the field after the Bond game, I had no idea of the scoreline. So I felt that the game was a lot closer than it was. I think we ended up with 11 goals and we kept them to maybe 1 or something like that, which it really didn't feel like on the park. So the scoreboard didn't reflect how tough that game was. And for me, that was almost like the grand final, because I viewed them as probably, the most worthy opponent for the grand final. And that's purely just based on the fact that they were the minor premiers. And then, to have achieved that game and to have achieved it well on the scoreboard, that gave us a lot of confidence. But Coolangatta, as you said, they finished second. They had a lot of superstars on their list. And on paper, it was always going to be a really, really tough match. But yeah, for me, it was the Bond game. And I know that was only it was really close to the end. It was the second final. But like I said, I wasn't too concerned about Coorparoo, because I felt like we had them and we've been close. We were close to them throughout the season. Again, for reasons, we didn't have certain players playing or, certain injuries and stuff like that. So, when you take that into consideration, I think our biggest challenge was Bond, reigning premiers, and it's good to be here.
Now, the grand final was unique. Normally, we play at your home ground there at Leyshon Park, but because obviously the COVID and obviously the restrictions around Coolangatta got moved to, funny enough, where you actually played the week before back at Bond Uni. I guess how was it like to, make that trip back down to the Gold Coast again to play a grand final away from home?
Yeah, so I mean, irritating. We really wanted to play a home grand final. I mean, who doesn't? But I guess along with that, what I mentioned earlier about the girls just accepting the fact that it was going to be a tough year, that COVID was always going to be there, and we needed to adjust accordingly. I'm glad we got a final. With Coolangatta being so close to the border, it was there was every chance they could have just said, well, there's no final anymore, purely just to keep everybody safe and add that extra level of security. But so I mean, compromise is compromise. It wasn't Cooley's home ground, which I think made it feel a little bit better as well. So it was a mutual ground. And yeah, I think, like I said, we just kind of didn't want to dwell on it too long. Even though we did fight for it, as soon as it was, the line was drawn in the sand and it wasn't going to happen, the girls just went, well, let's crack on. And then started organising the team buses down to Bond University and back, and drivers and the like. So, irritating, unfortunate, but happy to come away with a grand final on neutral turf, or a neutral ground, I should say, and then bringing home the chockies. Not too bad.
How much of a motivation was the development league loss the game before?
Yeah. Okay. God, it was really tough. Because we are one squad. We wouldn't have been in the grand final without them. And I like to think that they'd feel the same about us. They worked so hard throughout the season, and I believe they were minor premiers, were they? I'm not quite sure, but yeah, they did an absolutely sensational job throughout the year, and supported us the whole way through as well. So to be there for the first half, cheering them on and watching them, have a really close battle, and then disappear to warm up while they were out on the ground fighting fighting in their last ever game. It was pretty difficult to do, to leave the leave their game and go and start focusing on our own. And then as we were running out, to find out that they'd lost by such a close margin, would have been absolutely devastating for them. So it was huge driving factor. I mean, you G yourself up for the grand final and the job you're going to do, but then to have those 30-odd girls screaming for you from the sideline after just, having a devastating loss, super motivating. And, probably carried us that, made us hold our heads that little bit higher and run that little bit harder. So, if they had won, we probably would have been in a different mindset. But we knew, because we expected them to. So I guess that just kind of illustrated the fact that it is a grand final and that anything can happen, and everyone's there to fight for it. It was a huge motivating factor. So I guess I get a fair bit of the credit.
I thought the grand final was won, I think would have been the second half of the second quarter into the first half of the third quarter, when I watched it on the live stream. I guess, when did you felt that you had the game won, and especially to sort of enjoy the moment, enjoying knowing that you've won it?
For me, I felt that we'd won it in the last maybe 5 minutes because anything can happen in sport. But I was always super confident as well. Never did I think we would win, but I was confident that we would be right. We'd be right there. I think that's accurate. I mean, you can't get ahead of yourself is probably more what I'm saying. So I was confident, but it was only in the last quarter that I was like, yeah, we've done this, because even if they came hard and fast, we still had the energy and we were up and about, and we were ready to fight back and or hold on. So I think the start of the third, and then by the end of the third quarter, I knew we could hold on for one more. So and hopefully rack up a few more goals. So I think I'm going to say the end of the third quarter for me. It was when I was started to enjoy it. Maybe started to chase the footy a little differently, sort of leave my player from in the defence to get a couple more touches. But yeah, that was when I started enjoying it. But like I said to you, probably the last sort of 5-10 minutes was when I really started smiling and like thumbs up and looking at the girls and just getting excited for the ceremony afterwards.
Now, tell us a bit about your amazing premiership coach, Aaron. And I asked this to me and Jordan, which I'm going to ask you the same question. Now, obviously, he was a former coach of the team that you versed in the grand final when he won the premiership 4 years ago. Did he mention at all about the revenge to win against his old team?
No, I didn't even. I actually sat next to Aaron on the way back on the bus after we'd won. And that's when I learned that he was a previously Coolies coach when they won. I had no idea. So it definitely wasn't something that was well publicised. I mean, some of the other girls probably were tracking, but I only came into the QAFL comp in 2019. So yeah, it was pretty. I mean, it must have been pretty special for him. And he's absolutely a ball of energy. He's really keen. He really gets around the girls and makes sure that, he does what a coach does. He's there early. He leaves late. He's always got his little magnets and he's moving them around. And, he's got a lot of energy. He's quite talkative. And yeah, I'm really happy that he got another win in the QAFL League.
How good was it to hold the Premiership Cup once you finally got it get a hold of it? And were you surprised on how heavy it was or how big it was?
I haven't actually considered it. Now that you've mentioned the size, it was a pretty big cup because I've got a photo with it and it is significant. But I guess I was just more elated. So for me, back when I was a junior, we won the flags and the Premiership Cup. I don't know, the flags were a lot bigger for us. So at the first opportunity, I grabbed the flag out of the cup and I ended up wearing that around as a bit of a tape for the rest of the afternoon. So, I mean, yeah, look, I was actually surprised at how flimsy the cup was, to be honest. It was heavy, but it fell apart pretty quick. Yeah, it wasn't quite held together by the end of the night. Probably too many people trying to get their hands on it. But yeah, no, it is appropriate. I reckon it could be bigger, but no, it was really good. It was a great feeling, especially when you know all the other teams. You know, like it was anybody's for a long time. We weren't the sure favourites. We made our run at the right time, and yeah, we got to take home the silverware. So very pleased with ourselves.
Yes, that's right. Mia did mention about the state of the trophy afterwards. So now, of course, you are wearing your premiership medal, which I can see around your neck, which I'll get you to show it now.
Yes, right here.
There it is. What I want to ask you, Jade, is how long did you wear your medals around your neck for, and did you sleep with it?
48 hours, and yes. Yeah, we didn't take them off. I didn't take it off. You take it off, you lose it. Yes. And it's also you don't get to wear it any other time. So yeah, we kept our medals on for the celebrations that evening, and then for Mad Monday the following day, everyone had their medals around their neck.
Now, I have to ask, I know you're not supposed to do this at COVID, especially, but did you, get a chance to do a cheeky kiss to the cup at any stage?
I don't know if I kissed the cup. I'm regretting that now. I don't think I did. I definitely got a photo with it. No, I think I just did the whole double-handed grab and lifted it over my head kind of thing rather than a kiss. That I'll save that for the next cup.
Yeah, that's right. Now let's talk a bit about your football journey. Where did it all start and why did you choose it?
So for me, footy started with Auskick in primary school. I grew up in Loganholme, and Tansy Park was in Tanamera, the Logan City Cobras, and I started playing there when I was in the under 11s team. So I was probably about 10 playing under 11s, and then I played junior boys up until I turned 15, up until the end of under 14s, and then I went and joined the women's side. And that was when the league was a little bit different. It was the AFL Queensland Women's League or something like that. I know, it's very similar, obviously, but that league only had 5 teams, and mostly made up of, it was an open age like the women's is. And yeah, everywhere from, I think I was the youngest at 15 to I think one of our girls turned 50 while she was playing for us. So we had a big age group. Majority were 20 to 30, and yeah, we had a good run at Logan. And then you grow up, and I've went to uni and I studied teaching. And then I've come back to football after joining the Army, because the Army has an Army AFL team, and I started playing footy again with the Army. And then, when I got posted back to, I played in Townsville with the Hawkettes up there on an Army posting, and I got posted back to Brisbane in 2019. So I started, the closest club to where I was living was Yeronga, and they were around when I left as well. Left the league in Queensland, in southeast Queensland. So it seemed like the right fit, and I had only heard good things about the girls that were playing there from the people I did know that were still playing footy. Rachel Anstey, one of our girls, we actually played together when we were 16 years old. So it's pretty cool now to be approaching 30, so another half of a lifetime later, and we're still playing footy together. So that's a nice part of it for me.
What position did you play on the field on grand final day? And if you had a preferred position where you like to convince your coaches to put you next year, where would that be?
On grand final day, I played in the back line. Our back line, I normally sit deeper back. So I call myself a fullback because I like to be the last line and see everything up the field. It's an advantage. It's a cheeky advantage. So I like to sit down there. So I probably call myself a deep back, and I played around the deep back, but pushed up a little bit onto the halfback line in the grand final. And if I could sway my coaches to put me anywhere next season, I love defending. I think it's one of the, it depends who you talk. Everything's important on the footy field, but I think defense really need to have a mature head about them, and they really need to, I guess see, you've got a lot of responsibility, so you need to be able to, accept that responsibility, but then not hate yourself and beat yourself up when the ball goes over your head and the goal is scored, because that's footy, and without, it's got to get through the whole team to get to you. So and our back line was insane. We had a sensational lineup, really cool, calm, collected players, girls that wanted to play for each other. The whole team was like that, which is why we did so well. But yeah, next season, I want to stay in the back line. I mean, I'd like to get more of the footy, but when you've got a good team, like, the intent is that the back line doesn't get the ball. So it's not, it's neither here nor there. I'm very happy in defence.
What does the sport of footy mean to you now, and especially playing at Yeronga?
So I work full time. I'm quite busy, and my extracurricular activity, being football, gives me so much more than just a physical exercise outlet, and that's because of the players and the girls and the culture and the friends and the relationship that comes with Yeronga. So yeah, it means it's part of my life. It's probably, you know, the other 50% of who I am, because, you know, you spend so much time at training and then, you know, almost all day, one day a weekend, with your footy mates, and they're such genuine, amazing people, and diverse as well. So you've got heaps of people to, I guess, grow and learn ideas off, because you're in each other's space. But then you're also exercising and you've got common interests. So they're just a second family. And I play footy because of how it makes me feel when I'm around those girls. It's just a really warm and welcoming environment. I'll be around for a while.
And what will be your advice to our listeners and viewers out there, especially in Queensland, that should get down to the best club down there? And of course, it is the home of Queensland footy. They're at Yeronga Sth Brisbane.
It is. Gosh, advice from me. So I don't know if it's come across as yet, but it's all about having fun. And the reason I turn up is because I enjoy it. So regardless of what sport you're into, regardless of what you want to do, always make sure that you're enjoying yourself and you're doing it for the right reasons. You're looking after yourself, you're looking after your mates, and you're just having a good time is probably the most important thing. I can't speak more highly of Yeronga Sth Brisbane. They are an absolutely sensational club. A little bit forgotten about because they're tucked away in the middle, and because of AFL Queensland being right there and operating out of, you know, the building and having the umpires train there, etc. They don't get it. They don't have the opportunity to splash the whole place in red and black. But the culture and the personality and the family vibe is definitely there. So regardless of what you're after, you'll enjoy yourself if you come down to Yeronga. I'd challenge anyone to find a more welcoming group of people.
Let's finish up with a couple of lighthearted questions about your teammates. Firstly, who had the most embarrassing moments on the field this season, and what was it?
Oh, I wish I had worded me up. Look, it's not an embarrassing moment. It was probably an embarrassing couple of games. And again, I don't think it's that embarrassing, but it's the only thing I can think of. And it was Rachel Anstey's face guard. So
yes.
Rachel broke her nose,
That's right.
and her commitment, because she's also in the medical system. So, you know, I don't know if she pulled some strings or what, but she got herself some fancy, I guess, physio graded, AFL Queensland cleared face guard that made her look like a plover or a storm bird, which is what became her nickname. And obviously being our ruck, she, you know, everyone's looking to the center of the field as the ball goes up, and there's Rachel with this mask on that looked like she was going to a masquerade ball. So that's pretty funny. And I think that will forever go down in history as an iconic element of Yeronga Devils. So I'm going to say Rachel Anstey's face mask.
I always forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me that one, Jade.
Yeah, you're welcome. Very good.
Who's the comedian in the team?
There's a couple. There's a duo. I'm gonna say it's Clancy.
Yes.
Clancy is an absolute clown. Absolutely hilarious. And then Tennille. So Clancy and Tennille bounce off each other like you've never seen before, and they are just absolutely, they're funny. They're funny girls, and they don't even intend to be sometimes. It just comes out of their mouth. But yeah, they're crack ups. Oh, and the other one is Jade.
Yes.
Jade is also absolutely hilarious. She didn't get to play with us this year, but she is more a part of the team than I will ever be, and she just comes out with some absolute one-liners. So
yes, she does.
Jade by herself, but Clancy and Tennille together, hilarious.
Yeah. Now, based on the premiership celebrations that went for 48 hours to 70, who was the best singer and dancer in the team?
There was a few of us shaking on the dance floor. Gosh, this is really tricky. Party animals. God, there's so many of them. And they don't stop. I guess I can't really pick a dancer because it was we weren't allowed to dance with all the restrictions.
Right. Forgot about that.
So I mean, we were all waving our arms around on our chairs, but yeah, I can't pick a dancer for you. Although I can remember a girl, Kai, one of our girls. She really wanted to boogie. So I'll give it to Kai as the best dancer, and then yeah, I reckon Court was Court likes to sing. I'm just trying to remember. I can see her with her mouth open, which is why I'm saying Courtney. But actually, I can just picture her like this. But I reckon actually, I'm going to give them both to Helena. Helena was our manager. Are you Helena McNaught?
Yeah.
She loves to sing, loves to dance, and actually has more of a party engine than most of the young girls. So, yeah, dancer and singer going to Helena for sure.
Do you have a pre-game superstition or ritual?
My pre-game ritual, I guess, is to keep everything, nothing the same. I mean, because my theory and my approach is that, you know, if I have a specific routine and I can't achieve it, then it'll throw me off my game. So I like to keep everything flexible. I love sleeping. So my routine is probably a good night's sleep. And then I guess you can say the following day, if it's a late game or an afternoon game, that I don't do anything that'll waste my energy. So I'll go for a short walk, but I wouldn't do anything more than 10 minutes of activity, regardless of what it is, before I play a game. And I just kind of have like a chilled morning. Maybe catch up with maybe one friend, but definitely not see a lot of people. Keep to myself before a game. And that's for no other reason than I feel like I expend energy when I'm around people. So I want to keep it to myself before I get out in the field. But yeah, so yeah, in general, no. Like I can't say I've got any superstitions or rituals other than a good night's sleep and a quiet day or a quiet morning before footy.
And one last one, which is now, how was the celebrations like on the way back on the bus? Because based on what me and Jordan was telling me, it was pretty celebrative, I could say. I think you should actually almost beat what Coorparoo did on their way back to Coorparoo.
Yeah.
How was the celebration on the way back?
I'm a bit of a nana. So as I mentioned, I sat next to Aaron, and we, I guess, chatted about Coolangatta, and I'd already had one drink with me. But yeah, the celebration was at the back of the bus, and it was rowdy and it was loud. And I sat up the front because I was just tired at the end of the day. I was fairly exhausted after the game. So I just kind of sat up the front and recharged on the way back to the clubhouse. So yeah, the celebrations were definitely there. And I'm glad that you got that side of it from Geordie. But I was at the front of the bus being a bit of a nana, rehydrating, drinking my water, and I think I had a cider in my hand. So yeah, I mean, it's great to travel with your team, and it was really important on the way down there because you got to see each other and look at each other's eyes and get excited and share the feeling of being on your way to the granny. And on the way home, it was just party time. So, yeah, really, really good celebrations from winning through till we all had to go back to our work or back to our jobs on the Tuesday.
Well, Jade, thank you so much for giving up your time to join us. It's awesome having you on the show. From all of us here at Smash FM, congratulations on the Premiership success. We watched the grand final, watched the team throughout the whole year, and well deserved. You beat definitely the best three teams that you had to come up across throughout the final series, and achieved it in the best possible way with of course, two big games, especially down there on the Gold Coast.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
No worries. And that's Jade there, joins from the Yeronga Sth Brisbane QAFLW 2020 Premiership team. Of course, you want to get down there for pre-season, which I'm assuming it's very, very soon. Of course, to try to get their title defence. Of course, we'll put all the details up on how you can go about getting down there to Leyshon Park in Yeronga. Of course, then be involved with the Premiership team down there. There's more on the Smash Sports Show right after this. Don't go away here on the Tuesday edition.